Real estate, my goodness. I was actually a realtor for 12 years. I don't know if you know that. And so we appreciate so much what NAR puts out, because those stats from your staging, I use them all over my website. And it sounds so precious to be able to say, well, the National Association of Realtors says that you can raise your price by this much. So incredible information. We're so grateful. And we have more real estate information for you. We're going to bring our panel up. We're going to have just a moment while we get organized and set up. Welcome our panel. Want to let you know a couple of quick announcements while we do that. Number one, if you are going to the VIP dinner tonight, the location has changed. Please see one of us in leadership. We are now going to be at the Double Eagle Steakhouse, the Del Frisco. But it's the Del Frisco Double Eagle Steakhouse.
It's known as Del Frisco.
Really? Del Frisco. Now see, I don't know Vegas, so this is me learning all of this great stuff. So it's going to be terrific. We're going to need a few microphones, please. Thank you.
Oh, John, you almost went out. Can you hear me?
It's on. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Thank you for your patience.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Did you see how I rearranged the stage for you? Because I could not take it, sit in the audience, and had it all of the screen tech. Good morning, everyone. I'm Jonathan Miller. I am taking over. He emailed me yesterday, or texted me in the morning. He said, I really need your help. He said, I'm not going to make it to conference. I need you to moderate the real estate panel. I said, I would love to do that. Because you know, in reality, all of you in the audience, once the minute that you realize that you're in the real estate business, instead of what you think a decorating or design business, is when you will truly succeed. So I said I would love to be part of this panel and to ask some questions. Now, I was supposed to get some bios, but I was already on the plane, so I didn't do it. So I'm just gonna have everybody here just quickly just say who they are, how long they've been in real estate, and why you're excited to be here today. I'll start with Christina.
Sorry, I have to use your mic. Again, Christina Bell, and with no vacancy home staging, but I actually have had my real estate license since 2003, but I'm a terrible negotiator. So I failed that and decided to get into home staging in 2005, so it's been 19 years in Atlanta, and super excited to be here and share my expertise with you guys.
I'll just gonna tell you something I haven't told you. I was the president of the only majority female leadership team in 116 years. So that's to me a big deal. Because 2/3 of realtors are women. I was raised in Columbus, Ohio, so I'm a Buckeye originally, but now I'm a Texan, but I'm both. But my dad had what was the largest independent in the Midwest when I grew up. It's been sold since, and then he also had a franchise that was under home services with Berkshire Hathaway. So if you ever had a real living in your area, that was my dad's franchise division that did not survive COVID. So, you know, they're all in the history books. But I was born and raised in real estate, so how long have I been in it? As old as I am, and I'm not telling.
Hello, my name is Sean Barwig. I am with EXP Realty. I was born in the Seattle area and now reside near Portland, Oregon, in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. I've worked around real estate as a stager. I've been in staging for almost 16 years. I sold furniture to stagers. I see some of the wonderful stagers from Oregon that I sold to in the past and worked alongside. And in March of 2020, what happened? COVID. Everybody said, oh crap, what are we going to do? I said, this is my time to figure out what my future is. And so I started working to get my real estate license. Took me 3 years because staging did not slow down during that time, only for a couple of weeks. So it took me 3 years to get my license because staging was crazy busy. So I've had my license now since June of 23. So fairly new to real estate, but have closed several deals already. So.
My name is Trey Easley. I'm in the North Virginia real estate market from Keller Williams. I've spent about 29 years in the housing industry. I was an electrician for 19 years before I got into this. So basically knew everything there was to know about the inside of a house, build my own house, and I was always the guy who you know, their friends was like, my realtor doesn't really know too much, can you come and look at the house with us? So when I made that transition, it seemed like a fairly simple choice. But I'm just excited to be here because I've learned in this business that networking is everything. And yes, thank you.
Awesome, glad you're here. John, tell us about you.
Hi, is this on?
Yes.
Good. So I'm John Norris. Oh boy, where do I start? The first 20 years of my career, I was in major accounts with IT sales with Cisco and Oracle, but real estate was always on my heart and my mind because my parents were flipping houses before there was a term for it. So I was always there helping my dad install, carpet and paint and all that kind of thing. So after 20 years, I said, I'm going into real estate. And Jenny had already been a home stager for 2 years, so Jenny Norris is my wife. And so I've been around staging for 24 years, and I've been a realtor now for, it'll be 20 years this April. And I started with Keller Williams, great company. I was with them for 16 years, and now I've been with EXP for 3 years. So.
Wow. So we You know that I've had my license now for 22 years in real estate, and I used to practice before I became a professional home stager, and I just love it. I love everything about it. I don't practice it at all, but you have to understand the business too, as I said, to do well. So I have a couple questions for all of you. What key characteristics do you see in a vendor, any vendor, to establish a long-term partnership? And how can these vendors ensure they continually meet your evolving needs? What's a characteristic? Let's start with you, John.
Well, first of all, loyalty. So I'm looking for somebody to build long-term partnership. I don't care if that's my lender, my roofer, my painter, my stager. And by loyalty, what I mean by that is all of a sudden if stager or if realtors are starting to give you a lot of deals, but all of a sudden there's a new person who hits you up and let's just, as an example, they want to be staged on the same day. I hope loyalty, I hope that you're going to work with your long-term partner first. And I know it's a tough thing, but I'm looking for loyalty. And I won't say anything more because I don't want to take anything away from these other folks up here.
I had several too, but I think,
put it. Okay.
I think that I think that's a huge one, loyalty. But I'm going to say proactive problem solving. My biggest pet peeve is when someone comes to me with a problem and no solution. And whether you're the person to solve that problem or not, before you have that conversation, you talk to the people that can help you solve that problem. So you can go to your client and say, here's your options. And if you have more than one option, wonderful, that gives them the power of choice. It makes them feel empowered part of the transaction. But it also shows that there's a lot of communication and collaboration. So I think that's very important.
Yep, you're very, very important. Sean, what do you look for? A key characteristic in a vendor that you're working with them?
Yeah, so what I'm looking for vendors, it's the question that I have is how is this vendor going to represent me and represent my brand? Mm-hmm. If I'm sending somebody out, if I say this is my handyman or this is my stager or this is my mover, how do they represent me when they're out on the job site? Because I might not be there with them at the time. So I'm always looking for that. Like, are they going to be,
like they're an extended part of your team, and if it's your name and your brand, you better be darn sure well that they're going to represent you right.
Yeah. So if my handyman are smoking on the property, that might not be a good thing, right? Or if they, my movers didn't shower the last couple of days and they've been sweating. How do they represent me and my brand?
Right. I love that answer. All right, Leslie.
So in real estate, we are obviously starting our own personal business of getting buyers and sellers, but we're also starting a business of who our vendors will be that are going to be part of our resources. And if you're with a large company like we are, we share our resources with each other all the time. So if you're doing an amazing job and you get blasted out to hundreds of agents, which happens with our company, it's huge. I would say communication is key. And I'll give you an example of the other day. We had a guy that needed to come out to fix our pool. No show, no phone call, no text, nothing. And then when I called him, I'm like, hey, when are you going to be here? He goes, well, you just need to understand. It has been raining for 10 days and I am behind. And I'm like, okay, well, guess what, buddy? I'm busy too. And all I needed was a text to say, I'm going to be 3 hours late or I'm not going to get there today. Instead, I had to make that call when he was over an hour late. And so communication, I don't care if it's a 5-word text. I'll be there in 45 minutes, whatever, just communicate with us.
Right, very important. Christina?
Sure. Mike again. Again, I think just overall, as you've heard, communication is key. I think business professionalism. But again, I always go back to the same thing. It's about teamwork. Who is on your team? Because one thing that I do when I have my stagers and designers, they don't work for me full time. They are subcontracted. I said, please, when you go out, let's be positive, be a team player, but at the same time, we need to keep things moving forward. Because one thing that I found that happens is sometimes if you stress the seller out, guess what? They're going to walk away and move on. We don't need to do that. We need to keep them positive, moving forward. I literally had a call the other day with an agent. She's like, Christina, I don't know what to do. I'm trying to get the seller to stage. And that was the first time that I've been on a conversation with the agent, and she just busted out, unfortunately, crying. And I went, that's okay. We just need to keep moving forward. Let's stay positive. No problem. We're here to help you in any way. And quick response, communication, obviously, teamwork, professionalism, all those factors play, because like you all said, the same thing. They're representing you as well, and that's important when you're trying to attract even new clients and grow your business too.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you. Trey, this one's for you. With your extensive background, can you recount a particularly long-term partnership that you've had, and how can these vendors ensure they continually meet your evolving needs?
Yeah, I can think of a couple that stand out. One, I have a home stager, a home inspector that I've been working with for 10 years since I've been in the business. And the reason that I continue to work with him because number one, I know he's reliable during a fast-moving market. He's going to be in there for my deadlines. He's going to make sure that what I need gets taken care of. Within the deadline. Also, he knows how to talk to my buyers, right? He doesn't scare them off with going down a rabbit hole where I remember this one time or whatever it is that I've seen before. So he can present, like I said before, the problems that might be with the house, but he can also offer some advice on that instead of really scaring them away. And another thing that really stood out to me over the years, we have it's a fireplace vendor, repair and installation, and I had a client that needed she didn't call me first, she called whoever she knew that her friend told her about. And they came in and said she needed a whole new system, a whole new fireplace, $15,000, you know, this whole thing. And I said, let me call my guy. So he came out there. Now what was, you know, kind of unique about this guy is he started work later in the day because he knew that most people couldn't take off work, especially we work with a lot of first responders, teachers, and things that they have to stick to their schedule. So he just adjusted his schedule to make sure he could be there in the evenings, which was really important, right? To offer that to your client. And he came out, it was a $250 fix, and everything was certified and safe and fine.
And that really values your relationship that you have with them because they stepped aside to put you instead of somebody else that may be in line with
Absolutely. He was there
really
the next day after I told them this guy's looking to charge us $15 grand, and he came out and, you know, he was honest and just that's what we're looking for.
Good. Okay, so Sean and Christina, this is for both of you. Given your unique position as both a home stager and a realtor, what specific qualities do you value in your vendors for each aspect of your work?
For me, it's flexibility, right? Obviously, some of the vendors are going to carry over, so I can use movers on both my staging and for my real estate planning. Same thing with, you know, handyman and that kind of stuff. So somebody that's flexible that can help me with both sides or both aspects of what I do.
Okay, sounds good. Christina?
Well, since I'm not practicing the real estate and mostly doing home staging, you know, working with the vendors and counting on them to be reliable. Especially with my photographer. I try not to get too much into vendors because I don't like being responsible for vendors. I like to kind of just stick to in my lane again, folks, in my lane. Yeah. Vacant properties and the challenges of it, but I find that I've had relationships with organizers, people who can help, again, moving the seller along so that they can get that house on the market. And the agents need to move on to their next listing too. Right. So that's why I'm looking at really good, responsive, teamwork kind of players. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's, you know, really, really important. Having a good photographer is always important to me, and organizers, people who can help people move, pack up, or even move on. That's kind of my biggest thing with the type of vendors that I deal with. It's all the curb appeal, the landscaping. I'm the marketing person, so. I'm always about the marketing of the properties and how best to show it in the best light.
Right. I have a question that's not even on here just because you brought something up. You know, I have to just go off the track a little bit. So, do you think it's important as a home staging company when you're partnering with them that they provide the photographer, or that you as a realtor get your own photographer? For me, I always say we could provide the photography, but I don't want to be the person that is representing your brand. Like, you have somebody that's already out there that you know and trust to do that. And I find a lot of times now the realtors are like, well, everyone else offers photography, why don't you? And that was my answer to them. So I just want to get your take on that and what you think is important as you as a realtor. Are you having your own photographer, or the stager providing what they're going to take pictures of to get your own sold?
My thoughts on that kind of goes back to the conversation earlier of collaboration, right? If you're collaborating with your partners, and you have that you have that discussion before. We have from the home stage side, we have one of our realtor partners that we work with that whenever their photographer goes out there, they take detail shots. Right. And they don't work great for the MLS, but she always sends me those pictures because those work good for me. Right? Because we've had those conversations. They know, and they want to help me, and I want to help them. And so sometimes it's a little bit of both, right? You work together. Or, you know, a lot of times photographers, is anybody in here a photographer, you're a creative person, right? And so you own the rights to the photos that you take. And so sometimes it's a conversation with your realtor partners to get the contact information for that photographer to say, or can we split the cost of it so that I can use it? But you want to make sure that you have permission. Don't ever, I've done this, don't ever do this. Don't just go on the MLS and steal the pictures and put them up on your social media. I learned that the hard way. It cost me a few $100s because the photographer wanted to get paid for them, and rightly he should have.
Right. Anybody else have a take on that? John?
I don't think it's critical, but I think it's a great service as a stager to offer the seller. Because most realtors have their own favorite photographer, especially if it's a luxury. Mm-hmm. But I will tell you, now working with my wife's company, she takes pictures of all her homes. She does before and afters. And a lot of times, believe it or not, her pictures are better than my photographer. Or I'll just use hers to supplement, because sometimes she's over there on a sunny day, and then the next day the photographer comes over and it might be cloudy, so I use them to supplement. So it is a great service, an adjunct for you guys to use, but I don't think it's critical.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think it's critical. That's not something that when I'm talking to a home stager that I'm expecting. That's already built into my budget, and I have, the people that I use. It would be wonderful if they did, but I don't expect that, because I don't need the client getting charged twice, with that cost built in.
Right.
So it's not an expectation for me.
Right.
That helps.
Well, and we all know as home stagers, it's a true benefit for us to have our own photography, because we get to use those photos because we own them, right? And we get to put them for our marketing purposes on our websites and everything else, and we get the shots that we really want. Now, yes, we can pass those on to the realtor to use, but is it really benefited in showcasing all the features of the home that they need to sell their home? So I just find it like an interesting topic of who should really get it, and why to include it. And I can just say that when they do include it, it's really because they want it for their own purposes, not to really help you get the home sold, as how I look at it. Anybody else have anything to say?
Yeah, I did want to mention that the reason why I collaborated with a photographer is because I did have clients asking me, do you know a good photographer person? And it's funny because I like to have backups for backups, because again, I want to keep the listing moving on, and I want to have that staging job and not have it go elsewhere. But again, I agree with you. I don't think, and you all as well, that it's a requirement for a staging company to have to be responsible for the photography. If you're great and it's your niche and you want to add it, and it's a service that can maybe separate you from another stager, then go for it. But I just like to have it because, again, I was solving a problem and I wanted to collaborate with somebody and help him grow his business now that he photographs, as you guys saw, over 700 homes now. Right. And it's helped me a lot because I get a little bonus out of it because he sends me some of the photographs. And it's just a nice customer service option that I can give to my clients. And I can literally text him and he'll be on it the next day because, like I said, he's indebted to me now because he's had so much business from it. So there's great ways to collaborate.
Right, exactly. Leslie, how do you approach vendor selection and management, and what practices have you found effective in fostering lasting relationships?
So I've been around a long time, and I've been to a lot of events, as you can imagine. I was actually a vendor myself in the late 80s when the market turned in Texas. I was a foreclosure listing agent, and then the feds came in with RTC, and all of my listings and contracts were null and void in a 24-hour period. Everything, out of business. So I became a marketing rep for a title company for several years, and I really enjoyed it because I got to meet so many realtors, but you learn how to deal with certain people. I think, first of all, there's nothing better than a referral, ever. You'd rather retain your business than go spend money to get new business. I would also say, don't try to have a whole bunch of people. Just try to get the ones that you can manage that will bring you business, and be pleasantly persistent, not pushy, because salespeople don't like to be sold to because we're in sales, so we get all that. But I think that, you know, like maybe doing any kind of like events or special dinner or lunch or something with people that you are working with, even if they are realtors that compete with each other. And it's also interesting too, there's rarely a profession that you will come across in your lifetime where the people that are in competition with each other are friends. Like all of our friends, all of the people we socialize with are all realtors. But there's enough out there for all of us.
Yeah, that's a great answer. I have a question for you, because this just came up the other day again off the beaten path since we're out here. So what is your thoughts on asking for a home staging company and a vendor to pay you a referral when you get the job, if we give you the job?
For me, I don't expect any kind of payment. What I do expect, if I give that, what we had talked about earlier, if I continually give, our business relationship leads and referrals, then, in the back of our minds, we're slowly counting those up. And so then we have a ratio. So if I give you 10 and you have to give me any, then we're at a 10-to-1 ratio, and that keeps going up. So at that point, you're going to start looking for, realtors, I think I heard on stage, like to shop around.
Mm-hmm.
But if we find someone who's loyal to our brand, we're going to be loyal to their brand, at least in my business.
Right. Okay. Yes.
I would also just make sure you know your state and federal laws with RESPA.
Thank you.
Yes. Sorry, my real estate license, we do follow the code of ethics. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Do that.
Uh-huh.
And, yeah, as far as referrals go, I mean, I don't really look for that. It's more of a respect. It's just being a business professional, good karma. Obviously, there's plenty of business to go around, which I think you
Right, John?
Yeah, and of course, I don't look for referrals, but it goes back to loyalty again. So, maybe you give me a price break. It's a 4,000 square foot home, and maybe you give me pricing for a 3,000 square foot home. So that's what I'm looking for, and I love what he said, the 10-to-1 ratio. But I'll just repeat it. Maybe you give a price break to one of my clients he's got a 4,000 square foot home, you give me the 3,000 square foot pricing. It makes me look great. You're extending it to my client. I love that.
Right. Anybody else have anything to say about asking for money from a home stager? So if I refer you business, why are you going to pay me a commission?
Yeah, I'll just say, at least in my state, and thank you for bringing up the rest of the stuff, that's illegal.
It is illegal, right? Yeah. And I just don't know that everybody out here knows that at all. So that's why I brought it up.
Yeah. So, but again, sorry to sound like a broken record. Again, the collaboration and the referrals. There's ways to thank your partners that bring you a lot of business without it being necessarily a financial thing.
Exactly. We could maybe add on a room and no additional charge. Or we call it realtor miles. Like, we do so much business together. This is what we can do for you. Or taking out for a nice dinner or something.
Nice dinner or a very nice Christmas gift.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Some states have limits on that too.
So what Leslie's really trying to say, and the reason I was trying to bring it up is that you need to know what the laws are in your state, because they're not really supposed to be asking for money from you at all. So, in most cases. So that's why I just wanted to bring it up. I ask questions to help educate at the same time. So listen, to all panelists, how critical is technology in your interactions with vendors? And what digital capabilities or innovations do you expect from them?
I would just say that, first of all, we all have a Ring camera. So if someone's going to arrive at your home to work on like our pool, they can get through the gate. But I know when they're there because my Ring notifies me. But we had a company out recently that said the guy's on his way, when he arrived, how long he was there, when he left, and the invoice, and how to pay it. And it was awesome because I didn't have to talk to anybody. I just got it done, and I could do it at night, and I just mark it off my list. So I really like that. I think that, excuse me, I think a lot of people, if you get with older realtors, you're gonna find they want the telephone call. They don't text as much, but I think that's kind of a dying breed in the world we live in now. So I would say just giving text updates is really what's needed.
It is really important. Yeah, Sean.
I saw the funniest reel the other day, and it was talking about different corporate hours, bank hours from 9 to 5, and then, it was this person using their hand as the time clock, and it said the realtor's hours, and it was like, and it's so true, as a realtor, and as an entrepreneur, even as stagers, we don't end at 5 o'clock. We might have clients that work, graveyard shift, and they're sleeping during the day, and so we get a text at 10 o'clock at night, and we need to do something. And so I think that having technology for my photographer, I can schedule my photography online and I can pick the time. We've tried to implement some of that in our staging business as well to make the realtor's life easy. They can go online and schedule the job. So having technology available for that is important to your realtor partners, because they can then, they can do it at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'll say on the other side of it, technology is also an enemy, because one of the things that we talk about, and you guys probably do on the staging side as well, is you never know when there's a camera listening. And so I always tell my team, whenever you're in a house, no matter what you think of that house, your conversation is positive.
Right.
Never say anything negative, because that will get back to somebody, and that could lose you future work.
I was just going to quickly add, I think in the staging world, an online quote tool is critical. And there are, especially for you non-technical people, there are tools out there. You can contact IAHSP, we can help you with that. That's number one. Number two, I love what Leslie said, and that is, I love whether it's any of my vendors, they send me a text, and let's say I'm the seller. Right? They sent me a text the night before, hey, don't forget, we're coming out there at 2 p.m. to hit you up for staging. Then they send me another one the next day. Hey, we're going to be there in 5 hours. We're going to be there at 2 p.m. I love that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Always be in communication when you're going to come and when you're going to leave and go.
Exactly.
Christina?
Communication is definitely key. The coding tool thing. So if you guys come to Atlanta, I can share with you my collaboration with technology. Reason being, yes, we have an instant online quote tool. We also have under contract notice form, and we also have an app as well, because the agents would forget the website to go to. But also, I think as stagers especially, we have a tracker on our trucks. We know where they are. We take photos of all the inventory that we have at each home, pre-existing damage as well. You want to basically cover all your bases that way. We have communication that goes out. We're going to be going to your house. We've now staged the house. And that was a game changer for my business, and it was a training process though. So technology is key.
Wow. And what is the name of that app?
The app, it's our own app that we created.
Oh, it's your own app that you created. Oh, well, maybe you're going to be starting a new business here very soon. On top of all the other ones that you do, but that's awesome.
One thing I would add to that real quick though is, if you have an issue, don't text. Pick up the phone and call. Mm-hmm. Everything that you put in writing can be used against you in a courtroom. So don't do that. Because we used to have trouble with our people on our team and say, no, you cannot say that. You can say it if you want to talk to them in person, but don't ever put things in writing that can be used against you. So keep that in mind, because I know plenty of people who have failed at that. Must be an attorney here.
And that text message can be read wrong in certain ways, because the way that you meant for it to come out is not really how the other person interprets it. And when things are not right, it should be a conversation. Just own up to it and have the conversation. Your clients will appreciate that for sure. Do you have anything else to add to that?
Yeah, so I have I prefer the phone conversation, especially with my vendors. If my vendors can offer the technology, with KW, they rebranded themselves as a technology company, not a real estate company, a couple of years ago, which is great. It helps streamline business. It helps get information out there and get the leads. But when you're working with a range of first-time home buyers to move-down buyers who are going into assisted living or something like that, you have to have those people skills. You can't just shove technology down the throat, like we'll email you, we'll text you, get on the phone. There's generations out there that want to talk on the phone. Right. And like you know, I have a big problem with text messaging and emails with writing them, because I try and put different tones on and accents on different words. And I think there was an example of, you know, it's a 7-word sentence, and when you accentuated each word in that, it meant a whole different thing. So it can get so I just like that, you know, when I get an agent just talking about, you know, negotiation stuff, just call me. Let's talk about this, let's work it out, you know. So I think you have to have that capability to have a broad, be able to use it, but also be able to go back to your communication skills.
Right. It really comes down to, you know, knowing your client. How about just a simple thing as asking them, how do you like to communicate when you first start talking with them? So then that way you'll know what they prefer. You know, and just ask the question up front and build that relationship with them. Because otherwise, if you, like you say, if you're trying to slam, you know, text messaging and other technology, if they're older, they don't want it. And if they're younger, that is what they want.
And that's built into our presentations too, who's asking that.
Okay, I have a final question because I'm getting that look from everybody right now. It says, what role do you believe vendor relationships play in the scalability and growth of a real estate business? Everyone, just tell me something that you think.
Well, it's critical.
Microphone.
Sorry. It's critical, because if I'm gonna grow from 20 houses in the real estate business to 30 to 40, I'm gonna really need a tight relationship with my trusted vendors. And you guys are a big part of the real estate sale. End of story. Don't ever forget that. Don't be shy. You guys are a big part of the real estate industry.
Yep.
Yeah, we're, you know, when as realtors, we try to be the hub of everything. So we want to be able to take and send out, you know, vendors to our clients, whoever need them, you know, whether we sold them 10 years ago or, you know, they're your clients. So I think it's huge that, you know, the people that represent you that you send out are definitely a huge part of the business.
Okay.
Yeah, I think some of the key words in that question were trust and scalability, right? And I think those two go hand in hand, right? If I'm going to grow my real estate business,
When you're going to grow your real estate business.
yes, when I grow my real estate business to such an extent, I need to know that all of my vendors are 80% people I can trust, and me be able to handle the amount of business that I plan to bring them.
Right. Very true.
I would just echo what these guys have said, and I would also encourage you to look at the home staging profile from the National Association of Realtors, because I think you'll gain a lot of information that I did not share today that hopefully will help you in your business as well.
And by the way, if you still have any, you know, nudges up there at NAR and some relationships, if you'd like to get a 2023 one and maybe get more realtors to, I bet she's changed a lot in the last year or so since that last one was published. I bet you those percentages would really change. And as far as like when a realtor asks me, you know, what we do or how we work with them, I say, look, I'm here to help enhance your brands. To up-level your brands and what you're bringing to the market today, because it's going to help you get those homes sold faster. The neighborhood notices that those listings look good and they get sold faster. So at the end of the day, what we do is that we're a marketing firm in the real estate industry that helps to enhance your brand as a realtor. That's what you do.
Yes.
Anything else?
Because the reason why I do my CE classes about home staging, my CE classes about paint, is that I'm trying to provide knowledge to the real estate agents because they are hungry, so hungry for information, and they don't realize that there's so much out there. But they're like, okay, can I get that so I can put it in my listing presentation? And that's key. The other one of my technology things with my instant staging quote is that it also gets to the real estate agent not only a quote within 15 seconds, by the way, also a contract as well to move it along so that when they're on their way to the listing presentation, they have that quote with them. And they go, Mr. Seller, you want to go ahead and sign the listing agreement? Oh, by the way, here's the staging contract. Let's go ahead and get that done. it moves it along really fast. Done, on to the next listing. That's pretty impressive. So the vendors, are so key, and it is making the real estate agent look really good, because they're probably interviewing more than just one. So us home stagers were very important. Sorry.
Before we wrap up, does anybody have one or two questions that we can ask? Because when she said that we're getting hungry, I can see by the looks on your faces, especially one in particular at the table I'm sitting at, that she wants food and wants us to shut up. So if you can just ask us any questions that you have for any of the realtors here before Jenny tells us where we're going to go for lunch. Anybody have a question that is burning inside of you that you want to ask a realtor on how to work with them? We went over it all. Jenny? Yes, I don't think they have any questions.
Okay, you guys are awesome. This panel was great.